Welcome back, everybody. I'm glad you could join us. Today, we're going to be making a patron-inspired salami loosely based off of the Anchor Bars recipe in Buffalo, New York. We're going to be making the Buffalo Hot Wings Salami with all the fixins. I think you're going to love it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Let's get started. First thing we want to do is get our mold culture ready. We're using a mold called Penicillium malgiovense. This is optional but highly recommended. This is going to provide a exterior protection to your salami while it's drying. We're just going to rehydrate that in some water 5 or 6 hours before we actually need it. Now, let's get our meat together. This particular salami is going to be a pork salami, so we're going to be using pork back fat as well as lean pork, and I've got that already cut, so I'm just weighing it out for the salami. And we're going to chill it. That's so important. While it's chilling, I'm going to get my starter culture ready. This is a fermented sausage, so we need to add some beneficial bacteria, and you know I'm going for flavor of Italy. Such an easy culture to use. The package instructions are incredibly clear, but all we're going to do is rehydrate the appropriate amount in some distilled or non-chlorinated water. We're going to make sure we give that a little mix and let it rehydrate for no more than 30 minutes. So we're going to set that to the side. While that's rehydrating, I'm going to go ahead and rehydrate my casings. I'm using 61 millimeter protein line casings from the sausage maker. These are nice strong casings for salami, and this size casing is going to take roughly about 2 months. So we're just going to rehydrate that in some lukewarm water for about 30 minutes as well. Our meat just came out of the freezer. It's nice and firm. I'm looking for anything between 30 and 33 degrees Fahrenheit, and it looks like we're right on track. Colder is better. We're going to do a coarse grind for this salami, which will give our salami some nice marbling and a great mouthfeel. As far as the last minute ingredients, we've got some blue cheese. I've got some Frank's red hot sauce. You could use whatever hot sauce you want. And then I've got our spices like celery seed, cure number 2, dextrose, things like that. The recipe will be in the description box below. It's time to mix everything together. My meat's been re-chilled. I want to keep the meat under 33 degrees. We're going to add our spices, our hot sauce, and our starter culture. Now, what's interesting about this particular recipe is we wanted to recreate the idea of eating, chicken wings. And typically with chicken wings, you've got the blue cheese dressing, you've got the celery sticks, you've got that tangy hot sauce. So we're going to try to combine all of those flavors in this salami. There's my frozen blue cheese, and the reason it's frozen is because I don't want my blue cheese to be broken up into tiny bits. I want to have really big fat blue cheese chunks in this salami. The meat was mixed for a couple of minutes on a medium speed with our KitchenAid mixer, and it's nice and sticky at this point. We're going to stuff that into our protein line casing and get it ready for fermentation. First thing I'm going to do to get ready for fermentation is take the mincemeat that was left over in that stuffing horn and wrap it in some cling film. That's going to be the sample that I use to test the pH so we don't disturb what's in the casing. The next thing we want to do is prick our salami. This is going to get rid of any air pockets that might have formed, allow for better air exchange as it's drying. And then finally, I'm going to brush on that mold 600 that we prepared at the very beginning of this video. I'm just going to brush that on each salami. That's going to give us a nice protective layer of mold while it's drying. And the last thing we want to do is weigh our salami. What I'll typically do is I'll write down my actual weight, and then I'll write down my target weight. And our target weight's anywhere between 30 to 40% weight loss. And we're going to place this into a fermentation chamber. And I don't want to overcomplicate a fermentation chamber. A fermentation chamber is simply a box where you can control the humidity and the temperature. In this case, the humidity is pretty easy. I've got a tray of water, and the temperature is controlled by an Inkbird controller that operates a 100-watt light that gets cut on and off to regulate the temperature inside this box. The starter culture that we're using operates best between 75 Fahrenheit and 90 Fahrenheit, and so I use this Inkbird controller. I set it to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and as you can see, it's 68.6 inside my box, which is why the light cut on a minute ago. And it's going to keep it regulated at about 75 degrees. This is a very fast starter culture. Under these parameters, you're going to ferment between 18 and 24 hours. So that means you're going to check your pH roughly at about 18 hours and see where you're at. And that's what I'm doing right now. It's been 18 hours later. This is the sample from the stuffing horn. And when you're making salami, anything under 5.3 is considered the safe zone. But with this starter culture, we want to target 4.9. So ideally 4.9 to 5.1 would be a good target, and it looks like we're there. And if you want information about this pH meter, this is from a pair of instruments. Check the description box below. Great pH meter for your salami. After each use, we want to rinse it in some distilled water, clean it off with a lint-free wipe or cloth, and it's time to now transfer our salami from the fermentation chamber to the drying chamber. At this point, all the hard work is behind you and it now becomes a waiting game. And depending on how you maintain your drying chamber, you could either produce extraordinary salami or mediocre salami. And it all comes down to how you control temperature and humidity. The way we control humidity is by using an EverDry 1100 dehumidifier in conjunction with a Cool Mist humidifier. And all of that is being controlled by a couple Inkbird controllers, these right here. The green one controls the temperature, and the blue one controls the humidity, and both the humidifier and dehumidifier are plugged into that unit right there. And now we wait. Temperature 55 degrees, humidity 80%, and our target weight loss is 35 to 40%. It's been about 60 days, and we're going to go ahead and pull that salami and cut into it so you can see what it's like. The difference between a 35% weight loss salami and a 40% weight loss salami is really all about texture and firmness. Each gram that your salami loses in weight is water weight. So the more weight loss you have, the drier or harder your salami is going to be. And that's really all. And that comes down to personal preference. So I suggest you try a salami at 30%, 35%, 38%, just so that you can get an understanding for what the texture is like at each one of those targets. So like I said, personal preference. Let's take a look at the salami. We've got a nice center cut. I've got big fat blue cheese chunks right in my face. Marbling looks great. Let's go ahead and cut it open, see what it tastes like. I do find it interesting that Frank's Red Hot sauce tinted the meat a little bit. And what we're looking at is kind of a pinkish color due to that Frank's Red Hot. This is at about a 36, 37% weight loss. It looks great. It feels nice and firm. Here's our center cut slices. I'm a huge blue cheese fan, so I can't wait to bite into this. And adding cheese to a salami yields a slightly creamy texture, you know, feta cheese, blue cheese. So this is going to be incredibly interesting. It smells great. Let's give it a taste and see what it's like. Oh, wow. What an interesting salami. The celery seeds are coming through. The blue cheese is not only prominent, but it's incredibly creamy. And the Frank's Red Hot, it's subtle, but you definitely know it's there. And as crazy as this sounds, this works. It's a strange novelty salami, but if you get around to wanting to do something different, this is definitely one you ought to try. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget, we are 10 days away from the season premiere of Celebrate Sausage, October 1st, 2020, here on the Two Guys in a Cooler channel. We have an awesome show lined up for you, and if you like sausages or you like watching how sausage is made, you definitely want to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one.